When we first bought this building, the legislature also gave us money to renovate the building to make it classroom worthy for our needs. So they gave us an additional $2.4 million to make renovations within the building and basically to complete the building as well. So what we are doing is we're tearing down some walls to make classrooms larger. We're adding some acoustical treatments. We're trying to make the building a little more green by adding some HVAC efficiency equipment and so forth. People ask me why spend $2.4 million renovating a building when certain programs are being cut elsewhere, and I'd like to tell people that this is a completely different budget. This is a capital expense budget, capital equipment budget, and if we don't spend the money here, it's going to be spent somewhere else in the state of Pennsylvania to build a bridge or what have you. So the money allocated by the state for capital programs such as building bridges, building roads, etc., is being used to renovate this building. We can't take that money and put it into programs elsewhere in the university. The reason these renovations are needed is because we needed some larger classrooms here, and we also had to complete the building. It wasn't quite done when the last tenants left, so we have to put in acoustical treatments, we have to do some back of the wall stuff that hadn't been completed before, and basically what we wanted to do was turn this building into a classroom-worthy building for the types of classes that we are offering here. And we teach 1,200 students here, so many more students than previously, and we teach 61 graduate courses, so that's important. We're also taking some of the public spaces and making them a little more public friendly, so as we do our performances, the guests from the city who are coming to see our performances feel comfortable. This is Steinman Hall. We are doing a few renovations in here. First of all, we added a film projection system, and also on the stage we are putting in acoustical panels. These will work like draperies. They'll actually drop down in the back of the stage when we have a very loud event in here, such as a rock band. When we're performing with featuring a pianist or a vocalist or a violinist, those panels will come up and the theater will retain its original acoustic treatments. We're also going to be putting in theatrical lights. We are not going to be doing theater here, but we want to be able to pop our productions of recitals, classical music, lectures, and so forth, and we can do that with some of the new lightings that we're going to be installing. Right over my right shoulder is the film projection system we just installed. We basically installed a high-definition film projection system with sound surround. And the reason we did that was we wanted to bring film back to downtown Lancaster. So starting in January, we started showing foreign films, documentaries, alternative films, independent films, etc. And it's the first time that Lancaster has had a movie theater of its own showing first-run films in more than a decade. This is the Grand Salon. It's the room on the third floor that overlooks the city of Lancaster, and we are making a few modifications in here. The major modification we're making is they originally designed this building to have drapes which would close off these windows so that this room could be used during the day because it's very, very bright. So we are installing those drapes. They are retractable. For the most part, they remain open, but we can close them when we have a meeting in here. We're also going to be installing poles for lights because we use this room for a lot of cabaret and jazz performances. And also, between this room, right behind me, you'll see that there's glass windows. We're going to turn those glass windows into actually French doors that open up into the atrium right beyond us. So these two rooms are better connected. This is the atrium. We are doing some major improvements here. One of the things we're doing is we're putting up walls between all of these columns so that people can pass around the atrium without interfering with what's going on in the atrium. We're also putting up acoustical panels on these fascia because the room is very live and we want to tone down the room a little bit so that people can be better heard during presentations and so forth. These glass walls will be walled off with drapery so that when people are teaching in there, we can have an event here as well. And then finally, in this corner, we are going to be putting in a servery. People ask, what is a servery? That's the state's name for a catering kitchen. It's not a complete kitchen, but it will enable caterers locally to be able to warm up the food and pass it out to galas and dinners that are happening here. This is one of the typical smaller classrooms that we have, and it's a major part of our renovation. We have a lot of these little classrooms which were originally used for music studios. We are retaining a lot of the music studios, but for much of the remaining space, we're going to be tearing down walls. So for example, behind me is a wall, and there's another room identical to this. We'll be taking this wall out to create a larger classroom here. We're doing that all over the building. You can also hear that this room is very live. We're putting in acoustical treatments in this room to deaden the sound a little bit and make it a little more conducive to teaching. The renovations in this building will be taking place over the summer. We're going to be shutting down the third floor in May and completing most of the work that's going to be done on the third floor between May and the end of August. We have to have them completed by August because students come back at the end of August for classrooms. We also will be shutting down the building fall break, spring break, and over the Christmas holidays to complete the punch list of things that need to be done here.